Hi, my name is Jamie Perkunis, and I'm going to take you through some shoulder release exercises. So we're first going to start with what I call the pec press. So you're going to take your fingertips of your right hand and bring it to the front of your left rib cage. So it's going to be in front of the shoulder, and if you're wearing a tank top or a sports bra, it's going to be right underneath the straps of the sports bra or tank top that you're wearing. And you're going to press in and try to find a tender spot. And then with your left arm, you're just going to let your left arm swing back and forth, but you're going to hold your fingers down on that pec muscle. So there's two pec muscles. The first one is on top. It's the pec major. It's the big muscle. And underneath the pec major is another muscle called the pec minor. And we're trying to go for both of those. So feel free to move the fingers around if you need to, and you can even swing your arm a little bit faster if you want. Let the left arm stay heavy. Another option is, if this isn't working out so well for you, you can consider bringing your left arm out to the left and then grabbing the pec muscle from underneath the armpit. So just the front side of the armpit, and you can squeeze it between your thumb and your fingers. Yeah, and then again, if you want to swing your arm, just as whatever's range of motion feels comfortable for you. So I found having people release their pec before we do a pec stretch has been a really effective way to assure that the shoulder opens. This will likely be uncomfortable and tender. Keep breathing, relax your jaw, keep your shoulder heavy, and then go ahead and release, relax, and just notice how your left arm might feel a bit different than your right arm. All right, so we're going to go to the other side. So you're going to take your left fingertips to the front of your right rib cage. So it's not on the shoulder or on the humerus, it's more on the ribs. And you're going to find maybe a tender spot in there. Again, if you're wearing a tank top, a sports bra, something along those lines, it'll be right around that area where the straps are. So you're going to press in first. We'll do the press first, and then swing your right arm and try to keep the rest of your body relaxed, even though you're working hard with your left fingertips pressing in. Keep breathing. Then if you'd like to try the pinch here, bring your right arm out to the right and then grab underneath the armpit to the front of those ribs there and pinch. And squeeze, and then again swing your arm. This will limit your ability to swing when you're doing the pinch, but do the best you can. And breathe. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Keep your jaw relaxed. Keep the breath flowing in and out through your nose. I like to do this for about a minute or so. And then go ahead and release your hands and just relax. Notice the difference, or notice maybe the similarity between your arms now. All right, the next one is we're going to do a clock stretch. So you're going to do this with a wall. So you're going to stand with the right side of your body close to the wall. Have your feet point straight ahead. In here, line up in a good Tadasana. So in a Tadasana pose or mountain pose, you're going to want your hips more or less a little bit behind the heels or in that direction. Your shoulders are going to be over your hips, and then your ears are going to be over your shoulders. So you're going to be in a nice alignment here. The key here is when we're doing the clock stretch is the rib cage is going to want to come with you. So you're going to do your very best to keep your pelvis and your ribs pointing straight ahead to the short edge of your mat or to the wall that maybe is in front of you. So we're going to start with the right hand in the 12 o'clock position, which will be straight up towards the ceiling. Go ahead and spread the fingers, and even here, press your right hand into the wall. So there's a tone in your arm. Connect with your breath here. And we're going to start to move the arm back behind you into a different time position. So you're going to start at 12 o'clock and then move your hand back to a 1 o'clock position. Keep your hand pressing into the wall, rib cage pointing straight ahead along with your hips. Try to keep your ribs over your pelvis. They tend to want to pop forward. Then bring your hand into a 2 o'clock position. Press your hand again into the wall. Keep your head back. Keep your ribs back. Keep your breath calm and deep. Then come into a 3 o'clock position, which will be about parallel to the ground. Breathe. Hand presses into the wall. Rib cage pulling forward. You can even use your left hand. I sometimes like to wrap my left hand around my right ribs to help draw my right ribs forward. So you're going to bring your left arm across the front of your body and grab the ribs and try to draw your ribs, right rib cage forward as you keep pressing your right hand into the wall. If you like this, you can keep that, or you can move your hand back where it's comfortable, and then take your hand into a 4 o'clock position. And breathe. If you find that this is really challenging, another option is to walk a little bit away from the wall. So if you're finding it's too intense, you can step a little bit away from the wall. If you're not getting enough of a stretch, you can walk a little bit towards the wall. So the closer you are to the wall, the more intense the stretch will be. The further away, the less intense the stretch can be. Come to a 5 o'clock position and breathe. Ribs back, head back, pelvis and ribs pointing straight ahead, and then to a 6 o'clock position. And breathe here. Hand presses into the wall. And then go ahead and release your hand just for a moment. Stay in the exact position you're in. We're going to go from bottom to top next. So if you're finding that when you were doing top to bottom it was too pinchy on the shoulder or too intense, this other option of going from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock might be a better choice for you. So you're going to take your hand back to the 6 o'clock position. Press your hand into the wall. Make sure your ribs are back, your head is back, your shoulders are back, and breathe. Good. Even here, sometimes bringing the pelvis a little bit more forward can help you bring your ribs back a little bit more. And then come to a 5:30 position. So we're going to go on the half an hour here. So your hand's going to come back behind you and up a little bit to a 5:30 position. Breathe. And then a 4:30 position. Keep pressing the hand into the wall. Ribs forward. I shouldn't say ribs forward. The right ribs come forward, but the ribs stay back over your hips. Or your hips come forward to line up with your ribs. All right, come into a 3:30 position. Breathe. Hand presses into the wall. If you're finding that you're starting to get numbness or tingling in your fingers, you can also consider here bending the elbow a little bit to release, and then straightening the elbow. So if you're finding that's happening at any point, you can alternate into releasing by bending the elbow and straightening the arm. This is not uncommon, so if it's happening for you, trying to change the sensation is a good thing. Then come to a 2:30 position. And breathe. And then a 1:30 position. Pressing the hand into the wall. And then a 12:30 position. It's totally okay if your times are different. So we're just going for an idea of the time. There's no way that it has to be done. And then come back to a 12 o'clock position. And then go ahead and release your hand down. And notice your right arm. Notice how it might be different from your left. And then we'll come to the left side. So the left side might be a little bit different depending if you're right hand dominant or left hand dominant, or if you have any pain or sensation or shoulder injuries or issues. So be nice to yourself, and at any point, if you need to stop and take a break, you can always do that. So we're going to come back to the 12 o'clock position. Make sure that you're in a good Tadasana position. So when you're standing, the feet point straight ahead. The shoulders are over the hips and the ears are over the shoulders. Make sure that you're relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears. So press your left hand into the wall and then start to bring your left hand back behind you into an 11 o'clock position. And breathe. Try to keep your rib cage and your pelvis pointing straight ahead. Then come into a 10 o'clock position. Again, if you found using your free arm to help keep your rib cage squared to the front, if you found that to be helpful, you can add that in at any point. Come to the 9 o'clock position. And breathe, keep the hand pressing into the wall. Keep your breath flowing in and out through your nose. Consider bringing your hips a little bit more forward and just to avoid back bending too much in your low back. Come to 8 o'clock position. Breathe. Come into a 7 o'clock position. And then come into a 6 o'clock position. And then go ahead and release your left arm and just notice the difference or the similarities between your left and right arm. If you're having numbness or tingling, wait till that resolves before starting to go up from the bottom up. So again, reestablish, make sure you're in a nice steady posture, feet point straight ahead, hips, ribs, and ears lined up with each other, and that your hips and your pelvis stay square while you're doing this exercise. So left fingertips, or left hand I should say, fingertips point down, left hand comes to the wall at a 6 o'clock position. So press your hand into the wall like you're leaving a handprint on the wall, and then bring your left arm back behind you to a 7 o'clock position. Well, I should say 6:30 position. We'll do the half an hour. And then come to the 7:30 position. Go ahead, bring your hips forward, shoulders back, head back. Breathe. 8:30 position. Keep your ribs square, your hips square. You can use your right arm to help with that. If you're feeling any sensation of numbness, tingling, maybe even discomfort, consider bending your left elbow and straightening your left elbow. Come into a 9:30 position, please. And breathe. So the arm's behind you, so you're doing your very best to guess if you're in the right time. So don't get hung up if your arm's not in the exact position. We're just going with as much range of motion and different planes of motion to stretch here. All right, 10:30. If at any point your elbow gets a little sore from being too straight, you can always keep a micro bend in the elbow. Pressing the hand into the wall can be helpful for that too. 11:30 position. And then the 12 o'clock position. And then go ahead and release your arm. And notice how your shoulders might be feeling now.